Power of Love was the second studio album by Hourglass, issued in March 1968 on Liberty Records. The final by the group with the namesakes of the Allman Brothers Band. After the failure of their first album, Liberty Records allowed a greater independence for the group, who had been virtually shut out of the decision-making for their first album by the label and producer Dallas Smith. However, with the label's decision to retain Smith as producer, the group, especially Duane Allman, once again felt constricted by the label's expectations for the album. With Smith behind the boards, Gregg Allman was still the focus. The younger Allman, who had seen only one of his compositions on the previous album, contributed 7 of the 12 tracks. The remainder were 2 from Marlon, Greene and Eddie Hinton, and 1 each from the teams of Spooner, Oldham and Dan Penn, John Berry and Don Covay, and John Lennon and Paul McCartney. The group performed all of the instrumentation, with Duane Allman adding electric sitar to their cover of the Beatles' Norwegian Wood. This Bird Has Flown, quote, a staple of the live act. Neil Young of Buffalo Springfield wrote the liner notes, describing his experience sitting in on the session for the album track To Things before watching Gregg Allman leading the group through the number. After the failure of the album to enter the chart, the Hourglass traveled to Fame Studios in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, in an attempt to further refine their sound. However, Dallas Smith and Liberty Records were displeased with the group-produced blues-fueled rock tracks that the group returned to Los Angeles with, as they were light years away from the pop music Smith envisioned them performing. Additionally, seeing himself cut out of the group's picture was not ideal for Smith, even if his relations with the group had been strained. Hourglass disbanded shortly thereafter, with Gregg Allman returning to California to satisfy the terms of the group's contract with Liberty. Paired with a studio band, Allman recorded roughly an album's worth of material, though it took nearly a quarter of a century for it to surface. The album is currently available on the Hourglass Anthology, the 1992 reissue on EMI, rife with bonus tracks from the aborted sessions for a Gregg Allman solo release, has fallen out of print. The bonus tracks are now available on the 2004 album Southbound. Track listing: Power of Love, Spooner, Oldham, Dan Penn, 2:50, Changing of the Guard, 2:33, To Things Before, 2:33, I'm Not Afraid, 2:41, I Can Stand Alone, 2:13, Down in Texas, Marlon, Greene, Eddie Hinton, 3:07, I Still Want Your Love, 2:20, Home for the Summer, Marlon, Greene, Eddie Hinton, 2:44, I'm Hanging Up My Heart for You, John Berry, Don Covay, 3:09, Going Nowhere, 2:43, Norwegian Wood, This Bird Has Flown, quote, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, 2:59, Now Is the Time, 3:59, Down in Texas, alternate version, Marlon, Greene, Eddie Hinton, 2:21, It's Not My Cross to Bear, 3:36, Southbound, 3:41, God Rest His Soul, Steve Alimo, 4:02, February 3rd, Composer Unknown, 2:56, Apollo 8, Composer Unknown, 2:37, All songs by Gregg Allman, unless noted. Tracks 1 to 12 constitute the original album. Tracks 13 to 18 from the 1969 sessions for Gregg Allman's unreleased first solo album for Liberty present on 1992 re-release only. Personnel: Gregg Allman, organ, piano, guitar, vocal. All tracks: Duane Allman, guitars, electric sitar. Tracks 1 to 6, 8 to 12, Paul Hornsby, piano, organ, guitar, vocal. Tracks 1 to 12. Johnny Sandlin, drums, guitar, gong. Tracks 1 to 12. Pete Carr, bass guitar, guitar. Track 7. Vocal. Tracks 1 to 12. Several unknown studio musicians on horns, guitars, backing vocals, drums, bass guitar, keyboards and percussion. Tracks 13 to 18. Bruce Ellison, engineer. All tracks. Notes. She also video Song of the South, Duane Allman Song of the South, The Rise of the Allman Brothers Band.